There's a new warning about America's drug crisis, with the DEA saying that methamphetamine is flooding into our country. $12 million worth recently found in a shipment of frozen strawberries in Texas, and meth seizures have more than doubled since 2010. Joining me now is Derek Maltz, former special agent in charge at the DEA. Look at this meth seizures number. 2010, 159,000 or so. In 2017, doubling, right? 347,000. Like, meth just keeps going up.
Yeah, Dana, I mean, meth has been a problem forever, but a lot of people aren't talking about meth. They're talking about opioids and fentanyl. But what people need to know is that the chemicals are coming from China and India and Asian companies going into Mexico, and they have industrial-sized labs now where they produce thousands and thousands of pounds at a time. One thing that happened recently, which was very interesting, they seized a lab in Atlanta, the DEA in Atlanta. It was 400 pounds of meth. 6 out of the 7 workers were from Jalisco cartel, and they were illegally in America. But there was 2,000 pounds of toxic waste, because each pound of meth that's created in America creates like 5 pounds of toxic waste.
Oh, geez.
So the meth problem is booming, and it's becoming like more of a problem around America. A lot of cities, their biggest problem is meth.
Okay, so then tell me, I'm going to ask you about something else, because the Washington Post had this big article this week about the Obama administration and fentanyl. Another drug, right? Also a China problem, also coming up from Mexico.
Right.
That they failed to see the seriousness of it, and so therefore we might be dealing with that now?
Well, look, I was involved at the Special Operations Division. I had some great people around America that identified a trend of people dying from something we didn't know anything about. As an agency, I never heard of fentanyl on the streets. I heard of fentanyl in the hospital. So we started doing a project. We called it Operation Deadly Merchant. We had a briefing with Attorney General Holder in June of 2014. We presented this crisis coming, and it really didn't seem like a sense of urgency. I mean, people were dying like immediately all over the place, and there was no real sense of urgency. So of course it's going to get worse if you don't take care of it. And that's what's going on in America now. We're not taking care of the border issues, and that's why people are dropping all over America.
So you've had this idea, and we've talked about it when you appeared on the program before, about designating these drug cartels as terrorist organizations.
Exactly.
And I just want to get your take on this, because there was somebody from the Miami Herald who said that this is a bad idea, and I'm going to let you respond as to why you disagree with him. They say that it's political candy to please Trump's anti-immigration base, but it would seriously affect U.S. national security. The idea that Mexican drug cartels are working with foreign terrorist groups is a myth.
First of all, I worked at my operation on one of the biggest trade-based money laundering schemes, where Hezbollah was gaining millions and millions of dollars from Los Zetas cartel cocaine. They were doing $200 million a month in the used car business in our country. So that particular reporter doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, what I will tell you is that Jalisco cartel, headed by El Mencho, is one of the deadliest and most violent cartels in the world. Just go look at the news.
But we just have a $10 million reward.
Yeah, I mean, they're chopping off heads, they're throwing people in acid, they're blowing up buildings, they're killing police, they're using law enforcement techniques, because a lot of them are former military and police officers. Like El Mencho himself was a Jalisco policeman. After he got deported from America for doing drugs, he became a policeman, and then he became the biggest cartel leader in the world now that El Chapo's done.
So like, if you watch a show like Narcos.
My buddies were on Narcos.
Okay, so how realistic is it?
Well, it's realistic that Pablo Escobar was kind of like the king of narco-terrorism, and now it's been exploding around the world in Mexico and other different countries. What they don't realize, these people that write the stories, is that the terrorists need money to operate. Drug trafficking and counterfeiting and human smuggling and gun smuggling generates billions of dollars for their operations and their political and terrorist agendas. So of course they're going to.
And by designating them as terrorist organizations, you can bring all the resources to bear to try to stop them.
Right. I mean, DEA and FBI, HSI. Here's the point.
All right, Derek, we're going to have to run. Your points are great. Your points are good. I love your passion on it, because I was a just say no kid.
Shut down the production sites, and then people aren't going to die.
All right. Thank you, Derek.